So let's look at the Cauldron. Let's see what we're rocking here. We start with 3 eye collectors because this is great for just getting hits in early, but also every time it hits, you mill one, and it's a great way to get started. I like a couple Spark Harvest because this is really if you need removal, it also gets things into the yard for you if you sacrifice. Mire Triton. It's a great blocker. It's great keeping your opponents at bay with the Death Touch. Plus, you put 2 cards into the yard. That's important. Fiend Artisan. This is a funky card I'm just getting going with. It's a mythic from Ikoria. But I love the fact that it gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. As we saw in that one game, it was up to a 7/7 because of all the creatures that were in the yard. So, powerful card. Another powerful card is Spore Shaman. Just 2 mana again. Put top 3 cards in your graveyard. And then also that ability, especially early on if you're short on lands, if you pull the land that way, well, you can put it on top of your library. George Miller, the Gorging Vulture, the Gorging Miller. Mills the top 4 cards in a live yard. Gain 1 life for each creature card put in your graveyard that way. And then again, it puts more stuff to feed into your yard. Plague Crafter, you're putting something of yours into the yard, and you're putting something of theirs into their yard. Always feels good. Blood for Bones. This is a fun card. Put 1 creature card from the graveyard on the battlefield, another from your graveyard to your hand. So there's some big stuff in here, and there's even 1 card we cannot cast with our mana that Blood for Bones helps get out. Another solid card was just a 1-of. It's a solid card is Acolyte of Affliction. 2 black and green, 2/3, which, it doesn't pass the vanilla test. But when it enters the battlefield, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. That's solid. Pelucranos. I love this card. So much fun. Comes out as a 6/6 from your hand. And, if we pull it out of the yard with with Blood for Bones or the big star of this deck, then yeah, it's a 6/6. But if we can cast it for his escape cost, and you got to remember there's a lot of stuff going into the yard, then it becomes a 12/12. That's pretty awesome. 1 Cavalier of Night. Again, sacrifice a creature, destroy something. Great card. And then when it dies, return target creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And that's often going to be one of the little guys that mills more stuff into our yard. Sir Conrad. Love him. 5 mana for a 5/4. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put in the graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, i.e. milling, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, which happens a lot, Sir Conrad deals 1 damage to each opponent. 1 in a black, each player puts top card of their library into their graveyard. 1 Liliana, because she likes sacrificing things, and when things die, you draw a card. It's solid, but I don't always play her. Like, sometimes I'll take her out. She's great, but, she's not the be-all, end-all in this deck. Azoni helped us win one of those games because when it came in, there was 11 creatures in the graveyard. Foomp! 11 tokens. It was fantastic. Lot less giant. When we played it, we did 6 damage to our opponent. That was fantastic. Drakuseth. I love Drakuseth. This is the one we cannot cast in this deck. At all. Triple red, we have no red. This is not a Jund deck. This is a Golgari deck. But Drakuseth, when you pull it out of the graveyard with either Blood for Bones or the whole reason the card that's the whole reason this deck is built, then yeah, it's powerful. But it's a 1-of. Also 1-of, Endray's Forerunners, same thing. You pull it out of the yard and give everybody +2/+2 and Vigilance and Trample. Oof, I can finish things off. The Great Henge, fantastic card, 9 mana, but of course it's cheaper. Where X is the greatest power among creatures you control, and we've got some decent sized creatures that can bring down the cost of Great Henge quite a bit. The Molder Hulk is one of those. So it costs 1 less for each creature card in your graveyard. It can, very quickly, with the way this deck mills, come out for 3-4 mana. And the whole reason we built this deck, the Cauldron of Eternity, I wanted to make this deck work, and I often cast this card for 2 mana. Even though it's converted mana cost 12, I can cast it for double black. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature in your graveyard. Whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. And then for 2 and a black, tap and pay 2 life. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. Great card. And we've got 2 Castle Lockdomains, 9 Swamps, 8 Forests, 4 Overgrown Tombs, and 1 Temple of Milady. Quick look at the sideboard. 2 more Spark Harvests. A couple of status statues to destroy target artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Assassin's Trophies to destroy just about anything. A couple of Find Finalities to either get stuff out of the graveyard that you want back in your hand or to sweep the board. A couple of Sorcerer's Spyglasses. A couple of more ways to look at your opponent's hand. A couple of Memory Leaks. I like the cycling on these too, but it's also a non-land card. It's not like a non-land, non-creature. 1 Thrashy Bee. You can sack it to destroy target artifact or enchantment. Again, more stuff in the graveyard. And if our opponents are going too wide too fast, Ritual of Soot. Blow down their board. So that, folks, is the Cauldron of Stupidity deck. This is a dumb deck, but it's a lot of fun. I hope folks can give it a try. And I always say, if you've got ideas for tweaking, let me know. Send us a message either on the stream or leave comments on the YouTube channel. It's always fun to see what other people's thoughts are on tweaking the decks.